there. Welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And if you've never been to my channel, my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision as to whether or not you want to spend time or money or both sometimes watching a specific film. So the film that I'm reviewing today is called Backwards Faces. This indie film will be available to stream on Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, and Vudu on April 11th, 2023. The movie is rated R and is an hour and 8 minutes long. So not the typical length for a feature film, but definitely longer than a short. And so somewhere in between and something that I think you might want to check out. It's very interesting and different. And I like introducing you all to new and different things. So I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and things I didn't like about the film, as well as themes worth talking about, tips for parents, interesting lines, funny lines, if there are any, and then finish it up with recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might also like if you like this one, or vice versa. If you like those, then you might like this one. All right, ready to dive in? In a nutshell, this is the summary that the studio sent me when they sent me the press screener. After waking from a meaningless one-night stand, theoretical physicist Sydney, played by Lennon Sickles, wants to leave but cannot help but stay with her mysterious and aloof one-night partner, Ken, who's played by Andrew Mora, who claims he is from a different universe. Interesting. Theoretical physics becomes a lot less theoretical when Ken tells her the solution to all life's problems exists within the alleged transversible wormhole through space and time in his bathroom. Self-loathing is taken to a new extreme when Sydney and Ken are forced to reckon with the very worst of their other selves from across the multiverse. So now the multiverse is very popular nowadays. And so this is just kind of a fun spin and a play in that multiverse. So let me share some of the things that I really liked about this film. First of all, the cerebral film was written, directed, and produced by Chris Oresco. So congrats to him on his many award nominations in the past and for this. He has done work in both film and TV. I've never seen either actor in anything before. This two-hander, as they call it. Lennon Sickles and Andrew Mora have great potential. You might recognize Andrew for his performance in season 9 of FX's American Horror Story. Now, I don't have time to watch a bunch of movies and a bunch of TV series, so I've never actually seen that. I've only seen little clips. But if you're a fan, you might recognize him and get kind of even excited about seeing him in that. It's also difficult to hold an audience's attention when there are only two actors on the screen and in the same location during the entire movie. But the conversation is captivating enough to do so. I love it when movies reference other movies. This movie refers to one of my all-time favorite time loop movies, Groundhog Day. And in fact, I teach at a university and then another local community college, and I was teaching a class on English composition tonight, right before I filmed this. And we were talking about rhetoric, and I found this video clip on YouTube from this guy who's also an English professor, and he was saying that his favorite all-time movie and perfect example of rhetoric is Groundhog Day. So it's a fantastic movie, even if you're not thinking about rhetoric. But if you are an English professor or you just think that's fascinating, watch it again from that perspective, because I thought that that was really cool. Anyway, some of the banter is very entertaining. It makes you feel like you just engaged in a philosophical boxing match, I thought. Theoretical physicists will surely get a kick out of all of the scientific ideas that are tossed around in the dialogue. Now, I am not a theoretical physicist, and so I'm not even sure how much of what they said is actually true. So let me know. Comment down below in the box and let me know. One question that I had to do some research on, just because I was so curious, was in the film, it brings up the question, do real diamonds fog up when you breathe on them? In other words, how do you tell if a diamond is real? And the theory is that if you breathe on it, like, or here's my ring, if you breathe on it and it's a real diamond, it won't fog up. And I wondered, is that true? And so it was talked about enough in the movie that I had to look it up. And so here's the fun fact. As it turns out, a real diamond will fog up, but it'll clear up within about 2 seconds. So pretty quickly, whereas a fake diamond will stay foggy for much, much longer. So good to know, especially if you're diamond hunting. There's a timestamp illustration that lets us see how much time has passed between segments in the movie. And I think that's an effective element since time is one of the major themes of the film. And you see quickly how much time goes by, and then sometimes it takes longer because you're having longer conversations and things like that. So it's just kind of an interesting element of the storytelling. This would make a really fun stage play on college campuses, I think. The movie's tone assumes that you're smart and that you can understand things like quantum mechanics. It never talks down to the audience. And I appreciated that. And so if you're into a heady movie or you're ready for that intellectual jogging, you might really get a kick out of this. Now, with that praise, there were some things that I didn't like as much. For example, some of the dialogue is witty. Other times, it's not as clever as it thinks it is. Lennon Sickles is great. However, most of the time she talks way too fast. And so much so that sometimes it's really hard to understand what she says, which is a shame because her lines are so intriguing. She's the theoretical physicist. And so she's just rambling through all of this stuff. And then he responds, and you're like, wait a minute, I wanted to really think that through, what she just said, and then compare what his reaction was to her comments. But she says it so fast, you're like, wait, what? What'd she just say? So anyway, that was her personality throughout the entire film. And I kind of suspect that might be her personality in real life, that that's just her natural cadence of delivery. There are some moments that are very overacted, and then there are some that are underacted. Some viewers won't like the choice that the director made to film in black and white. The movie poster leads you to believe that the movie will be in color because it's very colorful. And in fact, using those kinds of colors, that palette on the movie poster in the actual movie, kind of would have given the movie a very metaverse feeling. And I'm basing that on any other movie I've seen in the metaverse where there are lots of colors. So anyway, I thought it was interesting. Ultimately, the movie looks like the low budget film that it is. Not to say that low budget films are bad. Sometimes they can be excellent, but just that there are some, moments, some camera work and background and setting and angles and that kind of stuff that just looked a little low budget. The movie isn't quite the full feature film, like I mentioned, clocking it at only 68 minutes. But some viewers will be happy about that because they'll be like, okay, thank goodness that's over. My brain is fried. While others will wish for more scenarios, more conversations, even maybe some more characters. I'm not going to give you any spoilers. So let me give you some tips for parents. First of all, I think kids are going to be extremely bored. This movie isn't appropriate for kids anyway because of some crude conversations and the fact that these strangers had a one-night stand and that the conversations go very quickly and they're about quantum mechanics and, theoretical physics and that kind of stuff. The movie starts with this young couple who I mentioned has a one-night stand, and then they talk about how things went under the covers, and that's not appropriate for kids. There's a lot of talk of sex. There's profanity, including F-bombs, and then there's a large, crude drawing of a male's private body part on the wall. It's not a small picture. It's like a large drawing on the wall. So I would skip this, not family-friendly viewing. Some of the themes that are illustrated well in the movie are the multiverse, of course, being self-aware, relationships, choices and their consequences, possibilities, time loops, memories, mistakes, the meaning of life, self-care, and selflessness. So I always write down funny lines and interesting lines so that you can kind of get a flavor for the quality of conversation or dialogue in the script writing. So I have them all written down on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So you can check them all out there, but I'll share a few of them with you right now. So Lennon Sickles is the woman who plays Sydney. And when she discovers that he thinks that he's from, another universe or something, she's just like, oh, and she says, how's your relationship with reality? And he just kind of seriously says, tenuous, which made me laugh out loud. And then Ken, who's played by Andrew Mora, he says, in the multiverse, we're judged by our thoughts. And I thought that was interesting. Thoughts and actions are also interesting themes, and they are played around with a little bit. And an interesting line was when Sydney says, our choices mean nothing. And there's a moment where she's just like, what matters? Does this life matter if I'm just one derivation in a multiverse? Which one matters? Do any of them matter? And so she kind of starts circling down the drain. And then there are some other conversations that allow her to consider other options for opinions. I don't want to give you more spoilers. All right. So now let me give you some recommendations for some other black and white movies with very fast-paced banter like this one. One movie in particular, it made me think of this. And I thought this movie was very good. It's called Malcolm and Marie. And this couple is in a relationship. It's in black and white. And they're having this conversation for a feature film length, like I can't remember the length of it, an hour and a half plus of interesting conversations, and it's clever and witty and amusing and profound and very, very interesting. Two great actors. One is the son of Denzel Washington. Anyway, check that one out. I thought it was very good and well done. Beautiful cinematography in terms of color angles, and there were so many pictures or frames that were perfect vignettes in a black and white color scheme. Anyway, I really enjoyed it, and I was surprised it didn't get more attention. But anyway, let me know what you think of this film, and when you get a minute, hit that subscribe button and like this video. When you do simple actions like that, as well as commenting down below, it spreads magical YouTube fairy dust all over my channel so more people can find it. And I really appreciate that. If you have lots of spare time on your hand, run over to Patreon and visit me there at Movie Review Mom. Thank you so much for your support. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.